Hello everybody, it's Jel here bringing you week 7 of our wonderful Happy Hearts program. And before we get into today's content and the activities that we'll be doing, I just wanted to say thank you so much for sticking it out and being here with me and with Jules for the last 7 weeks. I hope that you found value from the things that we've been teaching you and showing you, and from the activities that you've been doing with your kids over the last 7 weeks, and will hopefully continue to do into the future. Self-love, that is what the focus of the 7th pillar is, and that's what we'll be talking about on this video. And the worksheets that will be attached in a PDF will also help integrate those things that we focus on today. So self-love, why is it so important? Why is it so important for ourselves, and why is it so very important to teach our children? Well, it all comes down to one thing: the relationship we have with ourselves. It sets the tone for every relationship we have in our lives. So that in itself hopefully can hit home and really make you realize why this is such an important area. Self-love is directly linked to self-worth and self-esteem, and the way that we see ourselves and the way that we feel about ourselves ultimately reflects in the way we think, we feel, and then behave and act as a result of that. So it has massive ramifications or impact on whether we see ourselves in a positive or a negative way. And hopefully over the last 7 weeks, as you can see, we've layered the different steps and the different things to focus on, and why this particular piece is the last one, but by no means the least important one. If anything, I think, and from my own personal journey of being a mum and being a career woman and being a partner and all the things that, all the roles that we play in our lives, if we don't have this part and we don't truly understand it and truly know how to fill our own buckets, then it's very, very hard to give to those in our lives and to fill anyone else's bucket if our bucket is empty. So this self-love bucket, this is what we're focusing on today. So I'd just like you to, just for a moment while I'm talking, just to have a think of the 3 people, or the three things you love more than anything in this world. Who are they? And if you think about those 3 people on your list, I'd like you to see, are you on that list? And are you at the top of the list? And if you're not, this is where the problems really start to begin. Because as I said, the relationship we have with ourselves sets the tone for the relationship that we have with everybody else in our lives. So it's very hard for anyone else to know how to love us if we don't know how to do that for ourselves. And this is why it's so very important that it all begins with us. This is an inside job. It's an internal process, and it starts with us. And our children are our mirrors. So if we don't do that for ourselves and don't know the importance of it, it's very hard for our children to know how to do that, because they copy us, they watch us, they see what we do, they see what we say, they see how we behave. And I think one of our greatest tools that we can teach our children is to love and appreciate themselves. And the thing with true self-love is that it's unconditional. It means no matter what, you love who you are, for all your flaws, for all your imperfections, for all the things that make you who you are. And this also goes not just for ourselves, but for our children. That unconditional love means no matter what. And it's not based on anything or anybody outside of ourselves. So we need to know how to do that for ourselves, and especially as parents and teachers and carers, where we're giving so much of ourselves to so many things and so many people in so many ways. We need to do that for ourselves so that we can then also teach our children how to do that for themselves. And this is such a fundamental building block that can be taught from such a very young age. And it's something that we just have to, as Jules said in his videos, wax on, wax off. This is a daily practice. This is something that has to be focused on and thought about every single day, because Firstly, it strengthens those neural pathways, so they become an automatic response in our nervous system. And it's something that our kids will carry with them, a tool that they will have with them for the rest of their lives, forever. And it's when things get tough and things get challenging, that this is one of the important resilience factors, that ability to love themselves unconditionally, no matter what, no matter who says what or does what, or what happens in life, that they have that self-love and that self-worth and that self-belief built into their nervous systems, so that it's like their safety mechanism, their fallback, because we fall to our lowest level of conditioning when things are not good. So to have this conditioning and have this repetition from a very young age, it will hold them in good stead for the rest of their lives. And I know for myself, this is something I've had to learn in my adult years, and I wish, and I absolutely wish someone had taught me what this meant and how it looked when I was a child, especially a young child, and even through childhood, and then even into the teenage years, how important to have these tools, because of the things that happen in life that really shape us, and how different they would be if these were different, if I thought about myself differently, or I felt about myself differently. And at times in my life when this was really, really challenged, I had to really work on understanding who I was, what I was, and what it meant to truly love and accept myself unconditionally. So that's why I'm here. This is why this one in particular is particularly close to my heart, this self-love one, because it's something that I'm very, very aware of with my own two little girls, and I want them to have the tools that I never had growing up. And hopefully they will help them through their lives as they grow and mature and life happens. So, as I said, unconditional love and acceptance. And if you think, why is this so important? Our three fundamental human needs are to love, to be loved, and to be accepted, and to belong. So we need to be able to love ourselves so that we can have the kind of relationships that we want in our lives, and to feel like we do belong. But if we don't feel like, if we're not accepting certain parts of us, it's very hard for anyone else in our lives to know how to do that for us. If you think about the three hallmarks of a great relationship, what they are: appreciation, understanding, and acceptance. So if we can do that for ourselves, we can do that and be aware of that in our own children. And hopefully by showing them how to do those things, that they will learn how to do that for themselves, how to love themselves unconditionally, appreciate themselves, understand themselves, and accept who and what they are, with all their flaws, with all their imperfections that we all have, because that's the reality of this. Nobody's perfect. We are perfectly imperfect, and that's okay. And this links back into the growth mindset work that we spoke about, that ability to keep getting back up and keep trying and keep going when things don't quite go our way, and why that's so fundamentally so important. So if you think about what the most destructive things for self-love are, comparison. Comparison is the thief of all joy, and it's something that we so easily do for ourselves, but in particular, for some reason, it happens a lot amongst parents when it comes to their children. That comparison, whether it be for the better or for the not so great things that our kids are doing, it's something that is so detrimental, especially when our children hear us comparing them to other kids, because it really affects their sense of self-worth by knowing that they're not good enough or not living up to expectations. And it's not to say that it's very different to give constructive criticism and feedback to our kids that will help them to grow and to learn, as opposed to just comparing and saying, oh, Johnny does this better, or you're not as good as something as they are. And this happens quite a lot with siblings, and I know myself, I have to be really mindful, because my girls have very different strengths and weaknesses, and not comparing them, because they really take them on board. And the thing with our kids, that internal voice that they hear generally for the rest of their lives, that voice of doubt and that voice of you're not good enough, often it's a reflection of the things that they've been told as they're growing up. Between 0 and 7, their nervous system is formed in subconscious thought. So that means things are getting locked into their subconscious mind, which forms a blueprint of the world and how they feel in it and how they respond to things that happen, both positive and negative. That's shaped in those early formative years. This is the group of kids that we're working with currently in this program, 3 and 4 year olds. It's quite frightening when you think the things that they're hearing and that they're being told, and the things that we say to them and how we say it, because so much of communication is not actually what's being said, but how it's being said. The tone, there's so much more to it than just the words. And the words are very powerful as well. And simply tweaking how it is that we speak to our children can have such a different impact on how they feel about themselves. So this is why it's so very important that we teach them how to love and accept who they are, what they are, for all the things that make them who they are. So between 0 and 7, subconscious thought, that blueprint that they're forming about the world, that stays there pretty much for the rest of their lives. And any significant emotional events that happen in that period get locked into the nervous system, and they're the things, the fears, the anxieties, the worries, they're often directly related to what's happening in this formative time. Between 7 and 14, that's when they click more into conscious thought and become more aware of the world around them and their surroundings, and the different people and influences externally tend to be broader after 7, because they're at school and they're more influenced by their friends and peers and people outside of generally the family unit, which tends to be who children spend the most time with in those early years. So this is why it's so important, and it's never too early to start. It's something really that starts from the very beginning. So hopefully this is quite clear as to why it is that these self-love activity sheets will be enjoyable and will be fun for you to do with your kids. But get them to start, and yourself start thinking about building them up and teaching them how to love all the parts that make them who they are, and really focusing on those for themselves. But first and foremost, knowing how important it is for us to show them the way and how to do that, because we are their greatest teachers as much as they are our greatest teachers in life. I hope this all makes sense. I hope it's clear. I really hope you enjoy doing the activities this coming week with your kids on this self-love pillar. I wanted to say from the very bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here with myself and with Julian and with our Happiness Co. Happy Hearts team. Just over the last 7 weeks, I hope that you've found value. I hope that all of these things will be useful going forwards. I wish you all the merriest Christmas and the safest Christmas period with your families. And I look forward to very much hearing your feedback. And if you have any problems, any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and I will be right here. So lots of love and light from me. Bye everybody. Thank you.